Hey everyone, it is Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner Sean Casey. We have another exciting Wednesday marketing webinar for you today. And on today, we'll focus on how to spy on your competition in several different ways and the different kinds of intel and different kinds of benefits that you can get from basically doing these few things right here. And it can make a world of difference if you implement this right and actually find out and realize why some might be getting more sales or better rankings or more traffic than you might be. If you know exactly why, it's not really all that hard to replicate exactly what they're doing.
Hey, Brian, let
Uh,
me jump in for a second too, because
sure.
so that everybody understands that when we talk about competition, you don't have to be like, oh, so I'm not sure who I'm competing against. You literally can just say, oh, I think, where I'm starting to rank, or I'd like to rank for a keyword like weight loss for women over 40 who live in Nebraska. Okay, well, you could go see who ranks for that term number one by typing it into Google, and then you could go ahead and analyze that site because that's your competition for that keyword. And Brian's going to go through all this, but I want you to understand it isn't like you have to be like, oh, this only applies to a furniture guy selling furniture. This is everybody who wants to get traffic in any specific niche. You can use this to go figure out how other people are getting traffic in your niche and from which keywords. That makes sense to everybody?
Exactly, and
Somebody typed yes. Okay, go ahead, Brian. Now you can roll.
exactly, and that's a great point there. And even if you're brand new and don't even have a business yet, or even if you're unsure of what niche, at the same time, this still applies to you because once you decide upon a market or basically business to get into, you can kind of see what it takes to rank or what it takes to get sales and kind of get a major jump start by trying to see what it is that the larger players in your niche or your competitors are actually doing that are getting the results that they're getting. So without further ado, we'll get this on the road here. So once again, welcome to these Wednesday calls right here. They're every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is basically as of a minute or two ago right now. And every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll either do a live training and or a Q&A call. And again, every Wednesday, so make sure to join us for those. If you're here or you're registered for the series, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. They'll be under the Wednesday trainings under the training area, and it'll list the most recent ones at the very top. So, and yes, this one is being recorded right now, and usually within about a day, you'll see it under the training tab there. And if you want a chance to win $100 every Wednesday, we also give away $100 cash. But to do so, you have to be part of our free Facebook group, and you can go to that group by going to getwebfire.com/FB group. If you're not part of that group, you can click join right now on that link, and Sharon will approve of you usually within like a couple minutes or so. And at the very end of this call, I'll tell you how you can have a chance to win $100 live on this call. And again, we do that every Wednesday. So now let's move on to our training for this week on how to spy on your competition. There's really three main ways of spying on your competition, and each have unique ways of being able to take advantage of them and profit from them. If you're able to properly use these techniques, there's really no reason why you can't either beat your competition or at least get a big increase in your own sales or your own traffic or rankings. And there's always at least like a couple guys that say, well, is it really ethical to spy on the competition? And you're overthinking. It's not like you're violating any rules or laws or anything like that. You're literally seeing what they do that's basically great. Pretty much any business in the world, to some extent, will always try to spy on the competition to see what they're basically doing. That's why, I mean, even Walmart versus Amazon and all those guys, they see what price points they have, they see what they're doing. You know, Apple versus Microsoft, exact same thing. They always try to stay, you know, either a step ahead, or if the other place gets a step ahead, they try to quickly try to even things out. So you want to make sure that you're always looking at your current competition, or perhaps your future ones, to see what it is that they're basically doing good that you could also do. So it's all perfectly good and nothing wrong with that. If you're not, quite frankly, your business will go belly up, because everyone else will be trying to replicate everything good that you do, while you'll be kind of off on your own, not knowing how to get ranked well, or how to get you know, an increase in sales or anything like that. So the overview for today's call, we'll first talk about the 3 ways of spying on your competition, and each way has different advantages, and you can do all 3 at the same time. There's no reason why you have to just do one. Then I'll do a live demo of exactly the stuff I'm talking about, so you can kind of see you know, the examples and stuff that I give. You can see it in actual action. And then we'll go to the Q&A, where you can ask any question you want, whether it's relevant to today's call or anything else that has to do with marketing in general. And then we'll do the cash giveaway at the very end. So first, the 3 ways to spy on your competition. Here are the 3 ways, and I'll explain each one in a lot more detail in just a moment. The first one is to spy on your site's SEO, or spy on their site's SEO optimization, or see how well they're basically optimized. The second way is to spy on where they get their traffic from, because regardless if they're optimized or not, a lot of places might get a lot of traffic from a handful of sources, that if you know where they get their traffic from, you can replicate the success that they have. And the third is to spy on what the market is saying about them, and where their customers or their prospects are hanging out. So I'll go through each of these one by one with actual examples, and then we'll show some live examples in just a bit too. So first, spy on their SEO. If you're wondering why someone is ranking better than you, then you should check out how well optimized their site is. You can use Webfire's site analysis tool to see how well their site is optimized for the keywords that you're interested in, that they rank for. Usually, sites rank better when their title tag, description tag, and their content all contain keywords relevant to what they're trying to rank for. Now, there's a handful of other, you know, SEO factors and stuff like that, which I'll show you in the live example in just a bit. But usually, it comes down to how well they target those keywords in their titles and their descriptions, and throughout the content itself. And there's other things like, you know, the number of backlinks, but that's not as huge of a factor as a lot of people think. But if you kind of want to get a barrier for, you know, what do you have to look like to rank close to your competition, this will give you an awesome way to just basically spy on another site and see exactly how well optimized they are, and how well you have to optimize your own site to either match or beat them. So by seeing how well optimized they are, it will again give you an idea of how to beat them. And I'll show you a live demonstration of that in just a bit, because this is super easy. You don't just want to use like a website analysis tool to look on your own site. You want to also use it to spy, again, on the competition, to kind of see what do they do well, what could they improve. And if you see that, like let's say out of all the stuff that they only have a few things that they do well, that basically tells you, hey, if you fix up your site even more and do a bit more than them, you have a much better chance of beating them in the rankings, which is an awesome sign. If they're already ranked and their site is barely optimized, that basically tells you that it's a huge opportunity for you to basically jump in and basically take a lot of rankings. The second way is to spy on where they get their traffic from. Besides just checking their SEO, it's important to know where they're getting their traffic from. If you know where the top sites that are linking to them are, you can literally start to try to replicate the exact same thing that they are doing by making deals with other sites, getting ads there, posting in forums or blogs there, doing guest blog posts, so on and so forth, or reaching out to other places to try to do like some kind of deal or some kind of partnership with. So if you knew that, let's say, one of your competitors gets a lot of traffic or you know, a lot of sales from, let's say, only a handful of sites, well, what do you do? Would you just sit there and say, oh, well, that sucks? Or would you actually try to replicate exactly what they're doing and try to get a piece of that traffic at the same time? Now, oftentimes, the 80-20 rule applies here, where, you know, if you know the traffic sources that your competitors are getting, or if you know what sites are basically linking to them, you can see where the vast majority of the traffic is coming from. And what that essentially means is that if you know, if let's say you know, if let's say you know only just a few of their top sources, usually, you know, about 80% of the traffic probably comes from only a handful of sources. So you know, if someone gets if someone has, like, let's say 100 links, realistically probably only 20 of those links or less bring the majority of the traffic. In fact, in a lot of cases, you probably shouldn't be shocked if most of the traffic only comes from like 1, 2, or 3 or 4 places. So it makes it super easy for you to replicate that right there. So if you're able to see where the top sources are, without really doing a ton of work, you can replicate a lot of these success that they're having right there. Of course, you still want to make sure to optimize, you know, like your site for conversion rates and stuff like that. Like, obviously, if you have a crappy offer, you can get a ton of traffic and it won't really make a major difference, which is another great point too. I mean, first, you want to make sure that the offer you have is actually a good one, you know, because obviously the more traffic you get is great, but you want to also make sales or get leads off that. But at that same note, you can also check to see what their ads look like, or what their pages look like, or what their offers or their guarantees or whatever looks like, and you can try to replicate the general idea and look of all that right there. So that's, again, another way that you can try to spy, you know, again, on the competition, even to help with your own conversions and such. And what's great is inside of Webfire, we have a tool called the Competition Backlink Tool that can help with this as well, where literally you can see what their top traffic sources are and how you can try to replicate just that. And again, I'll show a live example of that in just a bit. So those are the 3 main ways right there. Or those are two of the 3. The third way right here is to spy on what their market is saying or what their prospects are saying. So you can also spy on what their market or their prospects are saying about them. This really does 2 things. First, it lets you see where their prospects are hanging out and where you can reach them. And second, it lets you see what they're saying about them, what they like and what they dislike, which is awesome intelligence for you to use. And it doesn't just have to be people basically talking about the competition itself. Like, let's say, I know there's a client that was selling, I think it was portable showers for basically camping and stuff. You know, you don't just have to look for the number of people basically talking about a specific brand. You could also look at, like, hey, what are people saying about portable camping showers or anything like that? Like, are they mentioning certain brands more? Are they mentioning certain things that they really hate or they really love about certain kinds of showers or features? And you can get a general idea of what people basically like and dislike, and try to make sure maybe, you know, you have the stuff that they like while you avoid the stuff that they don't like. And at the same time, you can see where all the prospects are. So you can see where all these people talking about, you know, the portable camping showers are, and try to go to them instead of waiting for them to come to you. You can enter in on the conversations where they're taking place. So you can check relevant forums, Google, YouTube, and so forth, and search for their business name or product name or the general type of product to see what's being said. So obviously, if you're a small local business in a small town of like 1,000 people, you probably won't get a lot of people asking questions and talking about you online, but you probably will get a lot of people basically asking, like, on like a wider scale, general questions kind of about those types of products or services that can give you a general idea, even if it's not exactly local to you, about what they like or dislike, and implement that into your marketing or to help out, you know, other clients and such. And some of Webfire's lead tools can actually be a great way to do this, where you can actually spy and see what people are saying about other products or the competition, or, you know, products in general, and get an idea of what they like and dislike, as well as get an idea of where they're hanging out right now, where you can go to. And I'll show you a live example of all those things in just a bit. So with that, I'll actually pause my screen for a second right now, and I'll switch over where we'll go to the live demo part. Just going to pause this for a second. All right. All right, so the first one that we basically talk about is how to analyze a competitor's site. So let's say you, or let's say a client of yours, because this is a great service to sell. And again, the example I'll give right here is for a local business, but this applies to anything. I don't care if you're local, I don't care if you're nationwide or worldwide, I don't care if you only sell online. The exact same thing applies right here. So let's say that you are like a no-name landscaping service, okay? What you could do is you could do a search on Google, like in this case I did landscaping Madison, Wisconsin, which is a reasonable search term that someone might do if they're in Madison, Wisconsin and they're looking for landscaping. And if you want to skip past the ads, you can kind of see, you know, what sites rank. And you see right here, you know, there's a handful of sites. It does not look like a lot of them off the top of my head are terribly optimized all that well, but probably your biggest competition, it looks like, would be this guy right here, Maple Leaf. You see they have some targeted keywords in their title tag, not an exact match to the word we have, but which would tell you you'd have a pretty good chance of ranking if you were to target that word on your site. But let's try to see maybe why this guy ranks right here. And again, I can tell you right now, just based upon the title tag and stuff, you know, he does an okay job of optimization, but not the best, and he's still ranked towards the very top. So what we could do right there is we could basically copy and paste in his website, which is again just that right there, Maple Leaf landscape, and the keyword, which is landscaping Madison WI. And I did that right here because the search can take maybe like 30 seconds or so to a minute tops. So to save some time, I did that search ahead of time. And you see the website, which is the competitor, and the keyword in question right there. And we see here the site is only about 60% optimized, so that's not horrible, but it's not great. But you see right here, hey, it says if you were to target that, you know, on your title tag, you'd have a pretty good chance of ranking. But you see right here, the competitor doesn't have that exact phrase in their title tag. So if you were to have landscaping Madison, Wisconsin, or you had basically essentially a title tag that included at least that exact phrase somewhere in the title right there, you would have a good chance of ranking above this guy right here. And you see right here, this guy doesn't even have the keyword in his description tag. In fact, he doesn't even have a default description tag on his site there. He also does not have the keyword on a heading tag. He uses it nowhere on his site. He has a sitemap, which is great, but it also says right here he doesn't use a schema, and that's a huge thing right there, where you would have a good chance of basically getting a lot of traffic if you implemented a schema there. So just right off the top of my head, we see several things that he could easily improve. Like you see, you know, there's no major sites on the right side that give like a ton of info. There's some of these guys might be using somewhat of a schema to get listed here. Sometimes if they're listed, on basically the Google business stuff, it will sometimes grab some stuff there. But if they actually have a schema, it's more likely to have their exact number and hours and stuff like that. And for those of you asking, there's always a couple that are asking what a schema is. Basically, a schema can have multiple links to show up on a site like this. It can also have the entire right side like that, and it can have a lot more info show up on it. So if you were to implement a schema and you were to change around the title tag, and you were to change around, or add a description tag, trying to actually target the keyword like landscaping, Madison, Wisconsin, or any term like that, you'd have a pretty good chance of ranking on page 1, and also a pretty good chance of beating this guy right here. But you can see, just based upon his title tag, right here, he's ranking well because somewhere in the title it contains landscaping and Madison and stuff like that, whereas a lot of the other guys don't really even contain that right there. In fact, I'll show you really quick here. I'll do a new search really quick right here, just to show you. In fact, if we go back to the landscaping Madison, Wisconsin search right here, if we skip the actual ads, which just say ad right there, because those don't follow the same rules, we see this guy ranks high because even though he doesn't have the exact phrase in his title, he at least has Madison, he at least has landscaping in it right there, where a lot of these places towards the top, they contain at least landscaping and Madison, but you see a lot of them are like basically listing type sites, which if you have an exact phrase, you can oftentimes even outrank those guys right there. And you see the guys that rank at the bottom, like this guy right here, he doesn't really have the phrases in his title tag, even though he is obviously a local landscaper, just based upon the description right there. So again, it gives you an idea of what you have to basically do. And I've seen guys, in fact, I'm helping a guy right now who, his site, what he has as like a title, it does not even have any mention of him being in Madison. It has zero mention of him being a landscaper anywhere on his title or his description, and he was wondering what he has to do to basically rank. Well, you can get away with that without having like a good title or without a good description and all that if your competition is like nothing. But if you have even a few guys that are somewhat optimized, you have to step up your game a bit. And again, this gives you an idea of what you basically have to do to achieve that. And on that note too, another thing that you can do as well, which is the second method that we basically talked about, you can spy on the competition as well and see where their traffic is coming from. So in this case, I typed in the competition right here, and this is just under the competition tab right here. You click on backlinks, and it's the competition backlink tool. I type in the keyword in question, the site, and you can enter the location and all that right there too. And it gives you some more info. Like right here, it says, hey, they only have 11 backlinks. So that basically says it's not terribly hard to rank. Now, the average and the median's real high because there were a lot of listing sites like Yellow Pages and Yelp and stuff like that. So that doesn't really matter as much as what your competition has in terms of a backlink. So right here, it's only 11. So that basically means, hey, if you have around 11 backlinks or so, you're pretty much at the same level with them. If you have none, that might be why they might be ranking slightly higher than you. But we can also see here where their top links are from. So you see right here, obviously they're listed, on the Yellow Pages and the Yellow Book. So that might be a good idea where, hey, you can go to those sites and try to get yours listed there as well. It's not too hard. But we see right here, there's a few other places as well. Like we see some, like these are basically towns around the Madison area. So we see right here that this is probably just a website all about Verona, and they have a backlink somewhere on that site. So it'd just be this site right here. So we could go to this site, check it out, and it looks like it's the Verona Chamber of Commerce. So basically just list their site right there. So you could go and join them and get your business and site listed there as well, and get a relevant backlink from the same source as them right there. So that's another kind of cool way to do it. You can also, it will find the contact info of these sites, and you can automatically email them quickly and easily through WebFire itself. So you click the contact button, it will find the email addresses, and then at the very bottom you can click contact all checked addresses, and you can email them as well. Now obviously, if it's a big site like Yellow Pages or anything like that, you won't want to email them and ask if you can get on there. Just go to that site and join it, okay? But for a lot of the other sites, that's a very good way to kind of reach out to them. And if you get a backlink from even a handful of these places, again, that would give you not only the ranking authority, but you can see where maybe they might be getting some of their traffic from. This is also great for even like an online business. Like let's say you sell a course on how to make videos, okay? And you have a competitor that maybe got like, you know, a lot of sales, or seems to get like a lot of people talking about him or her. You can use this right here to find all the sites or all the forums or all the places where you know, the top traffic or the top sources of his backlinks are coming from, and try to, you know, investigate those sites and reach out to them at the same time, because that can be a great way to try to make a deal with them, try to maybe pay for an ad with them if it's a place that they have an ad on, because obviously if it's getting them a lot of traffic, it can probably get you some, and if they're advertising on it, you probably might want to as well. And if we scroll down here, we can also see the other top competitors and get some info on them. Like we see a lot of these guys don't really have a lot of backlinks. Like this guy only has one, and he's ranked, I think he was in the middle or the bottom third of page one, so he wouldn't be too hard to outrank. And again, you can do a website analysis on any of these guys right here. And you can also see where their backlinks come from. And if you want, you can also reach out to any of these places as well right there. And on that note too, we also have, you know, I didn't show it right here, but you could also use lead tools like a ranked lead finder, and you could find for like, let's say a term like landscaping, Madison, Wisconsin, or basically any term that you want to rank for. You can find all the sites that are ranked on page one of Google, Yahoo, and Bing that you can leave some kind of a post, comment, or reply on. So that means you can get free exposure on page one in a matter of minutes, even if you never rank any of your own sites right there. And that's a huge, huge tool that can have a massive benefit over time to you, where literally anytime someone does a relevant search, they can happen across a post by you or a mention of you. But again, make sure you do it in a non-spammy way. You know, first right there. So hopefully you guys understand the power of that right there and how that really can make a major difference. And the third tool that I want to show off right here is the real-time lead finder. So in this case, I'll do a slightly different search. So in this case, I won't do a local one. I'll just do, let's say the example I gave prior of, let's say you have a portable shower or like a camping shower or any product that you want. It doesn't matter if it's online, if it's offline, same thing. And if you're not looking for active leads, usually have the max age set to limited. If you have it set to like the past day or the past week, that's really if you just want to reach out and find active leads looking to buy, which is great. But if you're looking to just do research to see what they're saying, the good and the bad, I usually have the max age set at just max right there, or on limited to try to get the most data possible, especially for like terms that, you know, probably don't get necessarily a ton of leads every day or anything like that. And then we can search through these. And again, there's other terms that you could do. Like you could do camping shower, shower for camping. I mean, tons of terms that you could do. This is just the first one that came to mind, and I put it in exact quotes just to kind of weed through it a bit more, so we'll only have exact matches, although like less, and we can kind of see what people are saying. So these are all the sites and forums and stuff where people are basically talking about what they like and what they don't like, or stuff. Like here's one that's basically talking about the negatives. So it's saying, it talks about a few bad things right here. So this just gives like a preview text. So you'll want to click here to see exactly everything that was said, to see what all the bad part is. And I assume they also talk about some good stuff too. So you can kind of see what people like and dislike about a certain product. So you can try to see if yours might be able to take advantage of everything that they like while trying to avoid the stuff that they dislike. Or you can even jump in on the conversations and say, yeah, having this can be a major con. That's why we have a model like this, which actually avoids that, and here's why that can be great. So it kind of starts to siphon traffic from those places to your own place, while also letting you see what people are talking about. Like here's a person right here saying that they love the shower right there. And yeah, so you can just kind of read through and see what basically people are talking about it, and use this as basically a great way to get some intel on what people like or don't like, or the problems such that they have. And again, you can use this for anything that you want. I mean, even if it's like an online product, like let's say you're a web host or you're an autoresponder or anything like that, you can type in the name of the competition if they're a larger one, and find lots of people, again, talking about them, seeing what they're saying that's good, what they're saying that's bad, and use that as essentially intel to not only get a better idea of how you can create your product or tweak your product, but also see where their prospects are hanging out. What forums are they on? What blogs are they on? Especially if you see some of the same ones come up over and over and over again, that gives you an idea of, hey, you want to maybe have some exposure on those sites right there. And oh guys, as a side note, I'll just show you real quick. We have a somewhat newer feature that's in beta. Right now it's just in beta on Windows. It will be out basically in beta on the Mac at some point in the future. So I have it set on no right now, but on the competition backlink tool, we even have a feature where you can detect what their ads are. So if they have ads on another site, you can see the kind of ads that these other sites have. So you'll see a picture of the ad itself, and you can get the links, so you can see what their landing page looks like or what their sales page looks like. So that's kind of a cool feature right there. And again, it's in beta, or essentially experimental, right now on Windows, and we'll have that fairly soon on the Mac side as well. So it's kind of a cool newer thing right there that you'll see right there that I haven't shown off yet, because right now I'm actually on a Mac. But we'll get that done soon. That's kind of a very neat way, again, to kind of spy, to see what ads and stuff look like right there. So yeah, so that gives a pretty good walkthrough and pretty good idea of what you basically have to do to not only get ranked, but also see where the competition is getting the traffic from, to also see what prospects are saying about products, what they're saying about products in general, businesses in general, or anything like that right there. So I'm just going to pause the screen, and we can switch back to the slide, and we'll have tons of time for Q&A. So I know we're sometimes short on the Q&A, so I left a little bit more time this time. All right. And just as a quick reminder before we get to the Q&A, I know we had this, we gave away some software a few weeks ago. We still get a handful of guys asking about that. In case you missed it, we have some free tools that we released a few weeks ago, and it basically are tools that ask a bunch of questions on basically your business or a competitor's business. Which again, you can use this even on a competitor and basically answer it as though you're them. If you know a little info about them to get some suggestions on how to improve your sales and increase your traffic and money and all that. So you can take the survey tool itself. If you go to bizfire.com/survey, you can go there and answer the questions and get the suggestions that it says to basically do. And it's all sorts of suggestions and tips and resources. And then after you take the survey, at the very top, it will have an ad. You can sign up for another free tool, which is kind of like a flow chart or a funnel maker, where it'll have several model upsell charts or funnel charts, so you can kind of see how an entire business is mapped out, and you can play around and make your own at the same time and kind of map out your entire business easily and see how much profit that you could make and what you have to do to basically tweak that. So once you take the entire survey, you'll have a chance to sign up for free there, and then after you sign up, you just go to bizfire.com/members. So again, just wanted to mention those two links again, because again, those are entirely free, no catch at all. And with that, guys, we'll move on to the Q&A. So we'll have a bit more time for questions that you guys have. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. And Sean, if you've seen any that were asked prior or any common ones you've seen, feel free to mention those.
Okay, I have a question.
Alrighty.
Okay, which is the most common question, which is, that was all great. You talked about, you know, the portable shower, and you talked about the local business, but what about e-com stores? Like somebody selling watches, somebody selling clothes, children's clothes. How do they use that to look into getting ranked for something specific like that?
It's the exact same thing. So I don't care if you sell, you know, shirts or mugs. I don't care if you sell a course on how to sew. I don't care if you're a local business that sells shoes. It doesn't matter at all. In every single case, all those examples apply the same way. For instance, for the site analysis, you can see why some of the competition might rank for terms related to a shirt that they're selling, or a coffee mug. And in fact, you could take it a step further and not only just look at, you know, how their title tags and their description tags and all that look, but for e-commerce, that's also one where the website analysis tool will also look at, you know, what their graphics or their image alt tags have. So if you have, like, let's say you sell a mug, and let's say it's a funny Christmas mug, okay? And literally you're trying to rank for a term like funny Christmas mug, okay? Sometimes Google will rank actual images at the top of their, you know, at the top of their search engine. And if you, like, a lot of people have sites where they just have, like, their funny Christmas mug, but it might be labeled like 111.95286.jpg, which tells Google nothing. Whereas if you label the image alt tag as like funny Christmas mug, you're not only more likely to rank that web page, but you're more likely to get the actual picture itself ranked as well. And that will basically tell you if your competition's doing that, and what maybe you have to do to try to match that or do better. So it's the exact same thing in every single case. Or if you're spying on, like let's say you have a competitor that sells a lot of Christmas shirts or a lot of dog mugs or whatever it might be, whatever your e-commerce then is, you can spy on them and see, you know, exactly, again, where their prospects are, where their backlinks are coming from, where the traffic is coming from, where people might be asking questions or basically talking about certain funny mugs or shirts or anything like that. And again, it applies the exact same way. It doesn't matter what kind of business you have. A lot of people oftentimes tend to think that basically their business is unique and different than everyone else's, and really that's not the case. What works for one guy to rank basically the same for almost everyone. It's just a question of, you know, what basically competition is like, or how large of a scale or market it actually is. I don't know if you have anything you want to add on that, Sean, or otherwise.
No, that was good. It's almost like you know what you're talking about. Okay. Okay, Teresa asked, how do we find other e-com stores to look at? That's easy. Just go search your keywords. You'll see other stores pop up in the Google ad results or
Yep,
in the Google search results. So that's really easy.
Yep, and on top of that too, the competition backlink tool, it will actually show you a breakdown of all the other sites that rank on page 1, and you can actually analyze all of those sites and see where their traffic is from too. And if you also use any of the lead tools, you can see if there's certain products or websites that people are mentioning as well. So that's probably the easiest, the easiest thing for you to solve is find out basically who the competition is.
Okay, sorry, I'm trying to type and read at the same time and talk to you, and I'm only capable of doing about half of one of those. So Itzdak asked, what's the number, the $150 in the real-time lead finder? In the real-time lead finder, you can actually determine the value of leads. So let's say that you're trying to find clients that every client is worth $3,000 to you because you sell big-ticket items, or every lead is worth $10 to you. You can actually set the value of the leads in there so you can figure out which of the results in the lead finder are the most valuable for you to go after first, so you can kind of rank them in order of priority since they update constantly in real time, and every day there's lots and lots of new leads for any niche that you might want to look at there. Let's see what else we have. Okay, so Joanne asks, when you say we should make a post to get a backlink, how do you do that? Who are you posting as, yourself or the website name? So you want to answer that, Brian?
Sure. So a backlink is basically any kind of a link from another site to yours. And there's multiple ways to basically get more backlinks. In some cases, there's certain sites that are like directories or stuff like that, which you can submit your site to. You can also create like a video and just have a link to your site, in the description, on YouTube. You can also, if there's like a forum or a blog post, you can do a post or like a comment as a link back to your site. Of course, you don't want to do it in a spammy way. Like, don't just give a link back to your site. No one likes that, and you kind of look kind of like an idiot. Instead, you want to give some kind of value. Like if if someone's asking, a question on a portable shower and they don't like a certain thing or a certain feature, you can say, hey, I have a site that sells those. Our most popular one is this one because it doesn't have exactly what you say you don't like. Feel free to check it out here. That comes off as a non-spammy type post and gets you a backlink and can also target prospects at the same time. You can also write blog posts where you link to like a store. Any of those are ways to get extra backlinks to your site. You can even do posts on like Facebook and Twitter, show off products, and link back to your stuff. You can do ads. Any of that is possible, and all those can oftentimes count as a backlink.
Okay. Whoops, the page keeps moving. Okay, so Deepak asks a good question. So, went out, found the backlinks of a competitor. How do you join those backlinks, or how do you get those backlinks for yourself?
Exact same answer I basically gave, except you would it's not like every site necessarily would give you like a free backlink, but like in the example I showed, one of the backlinks was from a chamber of commerce, and if that was a local business of yours or a client of yours, you could join that same thing and get probably a free backlink off that as well. You can also, if you see that, hey, there's a competitor that gets a lot of traffic from a site that reviews that product of theirs, you can reach out to them with a click of a button and see if they would be interested in doing a review of yours, or see if they have an ad. You can reach out to them and see if you can pay to have an ad there too. I mean, don't overthink that, because that's again, it's relatively easy. Once you know where basically traffic is from, you can check out those sites and see what kind of sites they are. Like, are they advertising there? Is it a guest blog post there? Exactly what is it?
Okay, good. So April asks, how do you get an image ranked on a WordPress site? Do you need an image URL for Google to rank the image?
So basically, you want to make sure that you use what's called an image alt tag, but any image that you have on a site is from somewhere. They all have basically their own URL for the most part. So without trying to explain it too hard, but any image you have on a site, you tend to either upload or grab from like another place. So they all have basically their own URL already. You just have to make sure that the image alt tag that you have on it has a keyword relevant to what the image is, and Google at that point will automatically look on the images and stuff and grab the ones that it thinks are the most basically relevant there.
Okay, good. I think we got everybody's questions answered. If anybody else has any, throw them in. In the meantime, while you're doing that and while you're listening, be sure to go to Facebook, post a comment underneath the image at the top of the page, and go. Yep, and that link is getwebfire.com/FB group. That's the free Facebook group right there. If you're not a member, you can join that right now. And Sharon has a post towards the very top that basically says what you thought of today's call. If you leave a comment within that post right there, basically telling us what you thought or any suggestions for future trainings or next week or anything like that, let us know anything at all. We'll pick a random person that leaves a comment and give away $100 in just a few minutes right here. And of course, if you share or like it or anything like that, we always appreciate that too. But if you leave a comment, we'll pick a random winner in just a couple minutes. So again, make sure you go to getwebfire.com/FB group. And if you're not a member, you can join for a free right there, that Facebook group. And Sharon usually approves of you like now within like a minute. So again, we'll give you a few minutes to do those posts, and then again we'll pick a winner in just a few minutes right here, guys. Any other questions or anything, Sean, that popped up? A couple of people are asking, did we record the webinar? Yes, we always record these training webinars, and we'll have it posted up online in the members area by morning. I think we did get all the other questions either answered orally or typed in answers to them, but I'm just trying to go back and review and see if there's anything we missed. If we did miss something, just throw it in there, guys, because there's a lot of stuff going on with several hundred people on the training side.
Yep. And
it's a little overwhelming.
Yep, and if by chance that there's ever like a question missed or there's a question that you forgot to basically ask that pops up later, you can always write support@webfire.com, or better yet, if you log into the members area, there is a support tab on the top right side, I think. And if you click that, it will go to our help desk, which basically guarantees a response, because if ever there's like an email issue or anything like that, you'll always see a response right there. But otherwise, you can always also write support@webfire.com. So with that, I'll just pause the screen as I switch over to the Facebook side and give some cash away soon. All right, let me just refresh the page here. All right, so here's the page right here, and here's the post from Sharon, basically asking how you guys enjoyed today's call. And if you leave a comment right here, you'll have a chance to win $100. So again, we appreciate all the feedback and comments. It's always much appreciated. And yeah. So try to post it in this one right here. I see there's one that accidentally posted it in the wrong one. You know, that's fine, but try to post it in here. I'll give you guys maybe another like 15 seconds or so to do a post up there. And again, if you have any ideas for like future calls that you want or trainings and certain things, you know, make sure to let us know as well. And on top of that too, guys, keep in mind we have a lot of prior training stuff. I mean, we have a ton of them. I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens. And inside of Webfire, in fact, I'll show you right now. Pretty easy. If you go to training and you click on,
I don't know how many dozens and dozens and dozens, how many that adds up to.
There's a lot of them. So the most recent ones will be at the top. You see last week's is right here. This one will be at the very top within like a day, probably by the end of the day, but for sure by tomorrow morning. So you can kind of just browse through basically topics and see, you know, what's of interest to you. And again, there's a lot of them. And you can also search right here, so you can search the titles. So if you're looking for something just on SEO, you can do that. If you're looking for something more on, you know, like general marketing or sales or e-com or anything like that, you can search for all that right there. So again, lots of stuff. But I would just say probably just glance through essentially the topics and pick which ones you like. And what's cool about that is we give you both the recording and also a PDF of the slides. So I know there's some that like to look at the slides more because it might be faster, even though the recordings tend to go into a lot more detail. The only exception is there's a few times that we just do that we'll have like a few calls that will be like website analyses, where we'll basically analyze businesses and websites, you know, of you guys. So in cases like that, I don't think we include the PDF there. We might, but it wouldn't really be relevant because that would all be done live and such right there. So with that, we'll go back to this, and I'll give you guys maybe 10 seconds, and then I'll pick a winner. So we'll do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'll refresh it just in case. Sometimes that picks up a couple. All right. So all right. So we have right here. That's today's call. We have 59 so far there. Count up the ones outside of sometimes. All right. Someone posted it in the wrong one. I'll count those. Okay, there's a few posted outside. That's okay. I'll count. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4 outside. All right. 5 outside plus. So 64 in total. Go to random.org. 64. Oh, wow, look at that. Number 1.
Now you know it's truly random.
Yeah, that is. We've never. That makes it super easy. I don't have to even count. All right, so Joel Maroney, if that's you.
And if you look like a shadow, go ahead and say it.
If you look like the shadow guy, right to there. Little bit albino. Congratulations, you are $100 richer. Well, I should say you will be as soon as you post your PayPal info in the chat to Sharon. So make sure to post that up right there. Again, congratulations to Joel Maroney for being this week's winner. And I think this is, again, this is the first time ever that we had the very first guy win. So it's usually basically in the middle, which makes it very annoying to basically count. So this made it super easy. And congratulations for being the first guy to actually do a post there too. So again, make sure to post that up in the chat box, post up your PayPal email, Joel, and Sharon will send that off to you. So with that, Sean, have there been any other like last minute questions? If not, we can end the call a couple minutes ahead of time.
No, I think we're all good. I answered a couple more, and so it looks like we got everybody. Joel popped his info in. The shadow knows how to do it best. All right, everybody, thanks again. Again, we'll have the replay posted up. And we'll also have the slides up there with all those step-by-step directions that Brian went over so that you can follow those and apply this to anything you want to do it. Again, it doesn't have to be where you're like, oh, I sell Mercedes-Benz, so I have to go find the BMW site or its competition. It's anybody who's in the same niche going after the same keywords that you are. You can go figure out, see what they're doing, and shortcut going after and being able to do the same thing. So go get it. Sharon, would you post an answer real quick to that last question there, and we'll call it a day. Thank you all very much. Great work as always, Brian. And like I always say, Brian really does know what he's doing. In all seriousness, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, thanks again, guys, for attending this call, and we'll see you guys next week again every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, if there's any like suggestions on training or basically topics that you would like covered, make sure to let us know, and we'll try to make that happen. Or if there's like certain topics that you'd like us to have like a guest on, like a guest speaker on a certain topic, let us know what that might be, and we can usually arrange those. So. With that, guys, take care. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye.